like it's not you, it's me instead. Ay, I wanted to rock with you, roll with you. Said you was my baby girl, then you left me too. Everything was kosher, perfect like a poster. Then I got word that you wanna lead a picture. Off with somebody else, off with the jerk. With the shame on me, I really thought that it could work. Off with somebody else, off with the loser. Shame on me, I really thought we had a. Lately I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to turn to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead. I be having conversations with myself, cause I feel like I have nobody to talk to. Everything was green light, now we got the red. Could've had somebody else, chose you instead.
Good evening, La Amiga. Good evening, the rest of the entire Eastern Caribbean and wherever you may be throughout the world. Russia, China, Japan, America, it doesn't matter where you are. It's a pleasure to have you locked in here with us for another edition of the Topics, where we bring, topics from all parts of the world, and we delve into, many different issues. Some may even consider controversial, but it's all about the topics. And this evening, I've got my host, Ras Shabazz Bank, and our special guest this evening, Denise Smithen, who's in with us, gonna some updates on the Breadfruit Festival, and also gonna be updating us on the upcoming Breadnut Festival. So, we got all that coming up on the topics. So stick and stay with us. Call a friend, tell somebody out there to log into Real Entertainment Network. We are streamed live also on Twitch TV, Facebook, and also on YouTube. And we want to encourage folks to go on over to our YouTube platform and subscribe, like, and share from there, because in these times Facebook is cutting the videos after 30 days, and if you really want to see the follow-ups and go back and see some of our older videos and all that, YouTube is the place to go. So please remember to go on over there, like and subscribe and share the YouTube channel. With that, I'll say good evening, Banky, and then we ladies are usually first, but because he's the other host, I'll give him the opportunity, and then I'll introduce the guest. Right? So, Banky, enough respect, greetings.
Yes, sir. Greetings, Jason, and good evening to Denise. Nice seeing you. Hope all is well, and good evening to the folks in Oli and La Amiga, if you're a first-time listener, which means St. Kitts and Nevis, the Twin Federation. Also, good evening to the folks in the neighboring islands, also in the region, and those in the diaspora in North America, from the Florida Keys straight up to Maine and to Canada. Also appreciate the guys tuning in the Europe, in Asia and Africa and other parts of the world. Let me say good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whichever is appropriate. Thank you. Can be listening to Real Entertainment Network at this time, and appreciate you guys keep sharing the links and spreading the word, and you all make this show as great as it is, because without you all listening and sharing the link and enjoying the shows that we do and passing on the knowledge, and also we learn from each other also. So it's a collective effort. So we greatly appreciate you guys sticking with us, and also when you see us anyway, let me know. I mean, you do listen, keep up the good works and stuff like that. So I must say, you guys make the show what it is. So yeah, son, how everything else? I mean, apart from here, the farm is going good. I mean, have some melon, a lot of mangoes in, and also coming up is a mango festival. So later on we can touch on that also. So Denise, good evening to you.
Hi, good evening, Banky. Good evening, Yasan. And good evening to the listening audience. It's good to be here again and speaking to you on the topics. I am no stranger to the shows that you guys have, whether it's everything agriculture or the topics. So I'm happy to be here
Yes.
to share some updates that our department has, and also just to let the general public know about some of the activities that we have. Well, the activity that we had recently and the activity that we have coming up. It's an exciting time for all of us because, Mango Festival is coming up as well, and I'm looking forward to that. I went last year and I really and truly enjoyed it, and so I'm looking forward to the Mango Festival. And of course, seeing you, Banky, with the variety of mangoes that you had last year.
I appreciate that. And you mentioned earlier, just for those who tuning in or who might not know you or know what we're talking about, which department you represent and the position you hold.
Yes, so I am the well, I did well. Y'all introduced me, so I'm just gonna introduce myself again. Denise Smith, and I'm the acting director at the Department of Community Development, NEVIS, and yes, I'm here to speak about all things community development.
Beautiful. Love that department. That's a beautiful department.
Thank you.
Yason?
Yeah, I just delighted to hear some of the activities that's taking place on Nevis and from the ministry. I'm really loving some of the initiatives that's being taking place in the department, and the more recent one, the Breadfruit Festival. I'm looking to get some reviews on that and how it went and all that. Prior to that, there would have been the the festival which included all of the multicultural. I don't
Yes,
remember the name of
NEVIS
it. I guess you'll correct me.
Multicultural Heritage Festival.
Okay, well, I guess I was on the ball then. I remembered it. So that activity, and then prior to that, you had a Jessup's
Just of
seafood
Seafood Fiesta.
festival activity, right? And so it's really really nice to see, and of activities that are a couple of things in terms of one, bringing communities together and bringing people together, which is what I guess the main idea is, and also at the same time creating revenue generating opportunities for the people in the community as well, because whatever little things they may have to sell or create and so on, whether it's baking or cooking or whatever it is, they get an opportunity to sell, and maybe even meet new clients as well, because depending on the activity, you may find people from a different part of the island, or maybe a different island. As a matter of fact, maybe somebody from St. Kitts might be visiting for the first time, and then that person might be selling something that it's the first time they maybe tasted it or tasted it in that way, and that person now get a new customer because, hey, I tasted this thing in Nevis, and I want this. Where can I get this? How can I get this? So things like that, I am really happy to see and hear about. So I'm really looking forward to hear a little bit about the Breadfruit Festival, and looking forward to hear what are some of the plans for the festival, which really sounds.
Okay,
Yason, you're
thank
breaking up a
you.
little bit, so check
Yeah.
your area. Go ahead,
Okay.
Denise.
Yes, so thanks for that. I'm excited to let you guys know that the Basgot Breadfruit Festival went extremely well. The turnout was really good, and I must say that the department staff as well as the community members who came on board to participate, they did play their role, and overall it was a really good event. The We had a breadnut peeling competition, which is the first time we actually had that competition, and it went really, it was really good to see the how to put it, everyone was so serious then and so focused. Llewellyn Clark
Oh,
did
okay.
emerge as winner, but it was good to see like the sportsmanship, but the funny, it was just fun. It was just community spirited, community oriented, and it felt really good. It had a really good atmosphere. The music was really good. The food was to die for, basically. We've had some really good reviews when it comes to the food, and I just want to put a plug in there and big up our sponsors, especially our main sponsor, Hamilton Reserve Bank, who has been with us for, I think, 3 or 4 years. And they have shown or committed to their corporate social responsibility and giving back to the community in a big way every year. And so I just want to big them up. I also want to big up our other sponsors. So Four Seasons Resort Nevis, Nelson Spring, Owali Beach Hotel, Golden Rock, Montpelier Inn, Buddy's Restaurant and Pizzeria. I also want to highlight Denver Shakur, who assisted us significantly, Valtina Stapleton, Frank Maloney, Evan Nisbet, JP's Guest House. They were also a really good sponsor, JP's Guest House. So that is located on Prince William Street. So I just want to highlight them, as well as the Nevis Agro Processing Unit and Rodney's Tents. I just want to thank all of you, and those who I may have forgotten to mention. It was not intentional, but I just want to thank everyone who made the Barnesburg Breadfruit Festival a success, especially the community members, the Smith and family, Liebert family, and all others who showed their support and and who gave back in such a big way. I want to say thank you. Overall, it went well, and I must say I'm excited to see what happens next year. Next year, we are hoping to integrate it some more with more community members and make sure that we have that inclusivity. So we want it to be more, because we have a lot of talented persons in the community, and we want them to be more heavily involved. I also want to definitely do the breadfruit peeling competition because it went extremely well. I must say we definitely have to do more than one competition, and probably have them peel like more than one breadfruit. But because it was good, it was a crowd favorite, and we definitely
Mm-hmm.
have to bring that back. And the recipe booklets, we usually have those so that persons can try the recipe booklets at home. Well, the recipes at home. So if you love the dish, you can look in the recipe book and you'll see how to create that dish. And so we want to expand that next year, and of course highlight even more dishes, and probably do some cooking demonstrations. So next year we have some things in the pipeline to make it even bigger and more impactful. And of course I did
I like the
mention having like a sorry having um a campaign where we inform, I guess, raise awareness and the significance of breadfruit. Of course, it has great historical significance, and we want to also incorporate that for next year.
I was about to say, I like the way how you anticipated my questions and going forward, because I was going to ask, yes, to give me some suggestions in terms of things that you see that you could improve the festival for next year, because seems to be something that is going. I think it's what, the 10th year this year was,
11.
and so, or the 11th. Okay, so
Yeah.
next year is going to be 12. So you could say now it's going to be coming in a dollar cent, so to speak. So you make it bigger and better. I think
Yeah.
also maybe as you thought, as you spoke, you know, pamphlets and so on to, bring the awareness and so on. I'm hoping that maybe you could consider promoting it a bit earlier as well, so that, maybe it can be out there in them, or do some activity that can, like, bring the awareness, maybe like some kind of competition or a quiz or something close to the time, so you could start bringing the
The
awareness for
hype,
that activity.
engagement.
Yes. Yes.
Because one of the
Um,
challenges that we've had is the crop. Sometimes it comes earlier, sometimes it comes later. So it's challenging sometimes to set a date where we know for a fact that we'll get plentiful. Sometimes
okay.
Banky can attest that I would ask him, Banky, when do you think breadfruit is gonna come in? And he has been spot on in recent years. Like there was a specific year, I think it
That's
was
when,
2020.
really, there's a feel there, noise in the background, your son.
I wonder if it's me.
And like a, your phone on something else, or something else playing this show. You have no, so that's fine. That's good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So
go
I
ahead.
was saying, there was one specific year because we usually have it in June, and then there was, I don't know if it was dry, like extra dry, and the breadfruit did not come in until like August, so we had to have the event. I think it was early around August. So it's sometimes it's tricky, but that's something that we are definitely going to work on, and have that community engagement early on.
All right.
Okay.
Let me say, yeah, son.
Right now,
I visited. Yeah. Okay. Let me go ahead.
okay, hold on, because I wanted to ask her in terms of,
Yes.
okay, right now the Breadfruit Festival is considered to be the Barnsgot Breadfruit Festival, which suggests that it's something that you want to be able to continue to keep in the community and so on. Is there any um, plans to expand it so that not to change the name or anything like that, but to really get it to be something almost or even as big as, let's say, the Mango Festival,
Yeah,
so you could
there
include other.
has.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had several discussions with many stakeholders regarding the expansion of the Barnesburg Breadfruit Festival. It has posed several challenges because logistically, it would be challenging to have it in specific parts of the village. Barnesburg is a quaint, small village, and
Right.
if we are to find pinpoint an area, we would have to, it would mean it would cost logistically, because then we have to think about bathroom facilities, water, booths, and all of that. It has been traditionally at the community center because of the ease, and so I know in the past there have been several persons who would have mentioned, or they, bands that is far, bands got, but it's the Bandsgot Breadfruit Festival, and we want it to stay in Bandsgot. Of course, there have been times when we might have considered moving it to, maybe Malcolm Gisha Park or whatever, but it is, the breadfruit is synonymous to Bandsgot, and I wouldn't feel comfortable and right moving it. Maybe because I'm from Bandsgot, I don't know, but I prefer to keep it there.
No,
But we've had
no,
several
and
talks with, well, we've had several talks about finding a different spot. So instead of having it at the community center, have it, there's certain areas that we might be able to target, but it all depends on several factors. Those we are looking into, but the goal is to keep it in Barnesgard, of course, to expand it, but to try to keep it in Barnesgard. And so maybe logistically we'll try to work towards that. Every year we try to expand and see how best we can occupy as much space in the area, as much as possible, and include the community members in that decision making, because it's very important that we make sure that the community is on board as well. But generally, I personally feel that we can expand the festival, but still it still remains there. It's just a matter of working out logistics and ensuring that it works for everybody.
okay, and honestly, when I said expand it and so on, and seeking to get it as big as the Mango Festival, I was not thinking of taking it out of Barnesgod. As a matter of fact, for me, my thinking is, we should be thinking of having more community festivals in other communities, whether it's maybe not breadfruit, but it could be maybe another, whether it's bread nut or papaya or
Yeah.
avocado or something else, but to um, create activities that would do something similar to what would happen in Barnesgard anyway. So it wasn't really the intent to take, but could be maybe using the field down below, and but I guess logistic money and having to get power down there and all these other things and so on. So, but thinking ahead with planning maybe with the government assistance and so on, getting it to set up like a mini agri-fair, so to speak, kind of environment. That's what I was thinking in terms of getting it expanded to that level. So not
Yeah.
necessarily taking it out of Barnsdale, but just expanding it, so to speak.
Yeah, I guess the reason why I said that is because when people have approached us about that, it's always
Hmm.
to, well, some, I wouldn't say all or everybody, but some persons have commented to possibly move it. But even maybe 2023 or so, I remember a reporter came and asked that question. So it's been something that has been brewing, but it's not going to leave Bansker. But as you mentioned, Yasan, that's something that we can definitely explore in the future, to so that we can expand and have like more vendors, because one of the things I've tried to have is like more persons, like vendors and so on, but this space is always a challenge, a major challenge. So in years to come, maybe 2 3 years, that's something that that level will be achieved. We'll work towards it.
Okay, and as we are speaking of community festivals and so on, right? And activities to stimulate festivals. Um, I, this kind of pops back up too because I've seen a post as well which speak to this, the fact that we seem to be losing a lot of what we consider to be community festivals, some that we would have had in the past and are not necessarily relevant anymore. What are your thoughts on seeking to revive some of these, including some of what you are already doing? Because, like, remember, I already spoke about the Jessup Festival that you did. We just saw the Breadfruit Festival. You're now doing the Breadnut Festival, which is in another community. So I'm not necessarily saying that there are not things happening. But then we had things like Gingerama, we had things like Winfest, we had things like the St. Thomas um, Fest and so on that are not there anymore. And these are things that really kind of did some of the same things that you're talking about, bring activity in the community, revenue generation and things like that. What are your thoughts and plans in terms of bringing back some of those initiatives and or maybe incorporating some of them with some of these other agro based activities?
So I would have worked with the STT Fest. We call it STT Fest. In some years, I would say maybe 2 or 3 years, when I was community development officer, and I saw the benefits and the umbrella effect that it had in the community. I also know of the Gingerama because our department works closely or is a part of the Gingerama experience. And the one thing I can say is that that's something that we're really working towards, revamping some of these community festivals. One thing that we realize too is that these community festivals are essential for the success, not necessarily, I wouldn't say the success of like Culturama, but when we have like the STT Fest teen pageant and Gingerama, Gingerettes, Miss Gingerama, the Gingerettes, these young women have the first time experience, and then they are more comfortable going in for senior pageants. And we also see like sometimes we have the calypso shows. STT Fest had calypso shows, and these events and activities give persons experience to move on or feel comfortable going in the big arena. And I and also, of course, you see the economic activity that is being generated from these events. The community benefits significantly, and so one of our goals is to try to revamp those. Of course, with COVID-19, it put a damper on a lot of things, and some of the businesses that we usually tapped into, were not available. It wasn't the right time, and so we are hoping that this time around they would be in a better position. But the key is to start small, because these the committees have not done certain things in a while, and so we want to ensure that we do how much we can handle. And so we just have to start small and pace ourselves. Maybe start with one event here and there this year, and then next year you add on and you add on as time goes on, because we don't want to put too much and then we don't have the capacity or the resources to succeed. And so that's where I'm at when it comes to that. I am open to, of course, aesthetic fest. We would have had talks. Well, I can't say too much about Gingerama yet, but there have been conversations with some persons about that, especially from within our department. Not on a large scale, but it has came up where we felt like that's something that we should look into revamping. But it's all based on the community, because we work hand in hand with community members. It's not a solo operation. We don't act separately, and so it's very important that the community members are also willing and on board to make these community festivals successful. So we'll see how that goes. Of course, a City Fest, I loved
Um,
being a part of a City Fest, and I think it has potential. It was a really good festival when it was being held, and there was the Mr. Physique as well, and I remember the Calypso show. The Miss Teen pageant is the crowd favorite. Everybody loves the teen pageant, and it is a high standard event that the teen pageant. Mr. Caesar, Shanwai Caesar, does an exceptional job in sharing that, and it has gained positive reviews. And of course, Tammy Farrell and all the committee members put forward their best to make sure that the City Fest is successful. So I'm really looking forward to seeing in the future if we can get that festival back to where it was before.
Okay, and before we move on, because I know I distracted you a little bit from the Breadnut Festival, which you're supposed to get into, but it wasn't really so much a distraction. It was just that
No.
based on what we were talking about, we kind of rolled into that. But before we move on to the Breadnut, I can't allow you to pass over, because I'm from St. James's and I didn't hear you mention anything about the Winfest side of things. So, any involvement in that? Because I know you said you were involved in the STT and the Gingerama side, but any close affiliation or at least any significant conversations with the Winfest side of things?
So in my experience, I was, community development officer for St. Thomas's Parish, so I would know more about that. When it comes to Winfest, we had talks, not necessarily with the Winfest side of things, but with stakeholders from the community members who would have shown interest in having a festival or revamping the festival. To what degree,
Okay.
I can't speak too much on that yet, because we want to ensure that when that time comes, it's rolled out and persons are in a position where they feel comfortable. But there have been talks with several community members regarding a festival in St. James. Not necessarily the Winfest. I have not had like direct dealings with the Winfest committee. I know years ago there was an event that I attended, but generally, persons in the community have showed interest in having something in that area. It's up to them now to reach out to us, and we try to forge a path forward and see how best. There was another event that I saw, and that persons have been interested in, but I don't think that it was the right time. So I'm hoping next year they will be ready, and we'll always be there to assist and give them the tools, or give them whatever resources and tools that we have to help them to make their events successful. So we are hoping that the committee, not the committee, but the community members, whenever they are ready, they come to us, and we'll see how best we can assist them. I love community festivals. I love festivals in general. I love seeing, well, of course, you have the planning and implementation stages, and it might be a little hectic and stressful, but I love seeing the final product. I love
End
seeing the
result.
results. I
End
love
result.
seeing
Yes.
everything come together. And yes, I'm excited to see but we are willing, and we are always here to work with the community, to ensure that they have whatever they need. Of course, we can't provide everything,
Wonderful.
especially money, but sometimes
Wonderful.
they
I
even
just, like I said, like I said, I just wanted a quick response because you did mention the other two, but I just really wanted to
yeah.
make sure, especially me being from St. James, I don't think I might get peace not um
Well,
interjecting that piece.
when we get
Um,
to that point, you'll know.
right. So let's move on to the Breadnut Festival now, because I am very much in.
Before we get to the breadnut, yeah, son, let me
Uh-huh.
get a little overview of the Breadfruit Festival, because I had left the farm and showed up because I wanted to get a
Nice.
few clips and
First on
posts
review.
and
Nice.
also to
First on
help.
review. Nice.
Yeah, I like, yes. Usually I would pass through, but sometimes depends if the crowd, you can't get a parking. But this, so let me go early, so I could fit in and then leave and go back on the farm and stuff like that. So I must say, I must first got to give kudos to the community development. I mean, for the staff and the NEC and stuff like that. I mean, doing these things when the end product is what people see, but they don't see the effort that goes into and the planning that really goes into these things. So you must appreciate these things when it come together and the community come out and support these things. So I must say the food was excellent. I mean, by just being there, seeing them setting up and stuff like that. So at least I see how everything. I love stuff like that and sit and see how they work together as a team. Because I tend to observe stuff like that to see who get involved and how they communicate amongst themselves. I know when to agriculture, then people start to vent and let they want to fight and all this different stuff. So I tend to look out for a lot of stuff. So I must give kudos to them for their composure and they're working together and stuff like that. Because you see, when I go to places, I look at things differently to what people look at. You know what I mean? My thing is to observe and look for everything, people attitude and all these things. Cause one negative attitude can trigger off everybody else, you know. And what I see there was team effort in my presence and everybody fitting in and helping out and doing this. And so I must say kudos to them. But the food I see mackerel with breadfruit. You're seeing breadfruit pies. You have the breadfruit balls. Oh, that was nice. You know what I'm saying? That was nice. Yes, so I must say, with something like this, you can always create a little dip with it. Whether it's a dip with like a sauce like that, you can also enhance the flavor and stuff like that. But that was really on the outside, really brown and golden, like them saltfish ball, but it's a breadfruit ball, but inside soft and nice. So whoever made that did a great job. Then they had the breadfruit drink. I mean, that was also a plus. That was nice. I mean, you just can't have those are stuff that should be always there selling all. Even have them in the office or whatever it is. People that can come there and get breadfruit drink, whatever it is. That somebody take up that. But that was nice. So I had to buy more of that. So you know what I mean. So I promoted that, and then you still have the breadfruit drink with Guinness. So it was just a lot, man, and the community really come out and supported it. It's an event that I think the government really can. Barnesgot is a small village. I mean, I too, my family is from there. Every Sunday, I used to come with my grandma and then go to Waiter, Miss Daniel down the road and get the cornbread, and that is something I'll still pass through. And that's the first step I make by best and get the cornbread, and then head up to the first to the festival. So that's a childhood tradition. My family's from there, and Tangi, which was my grandfather's sister, which was one of the tallest weavers. So I always enjoy going to Barnesgut and just being in there. It's just a hideaway village, So anyone who is from that area is grateful, and so it's a very close knit community. As you're in, you're out. So definitely, I just gotta say kudos, and it was really good thing that the community support, and the event is growing bigger and bigger. And the ball field, I'm not sure what's going on with that, but that is something definitely both government have lacked on, and it's something that need to be developed and should be and would be used more often for that. So it just needs some info in place, and the event can really be expanded more, and then really, and plus the businesses in the area, which ain't much, still benefit. So it's a good thing. So just gotta tell your department, keep up the good works and stuff like that. You already do a lot. The name says what it is. You all do village cleanup with flowers and just all kind of stuff you always doing. So doing stuff like that, I mean, if you mean you have to really into the community, getting people involved and I know how you all get it done because our community is a tough community at times. And to get all these things pulled off, I mean, gotta say kudos to stuff like that.
Thank you,
Yeah, son.
and of course kudos to the department staff who were there, because they did pull their weight and did their part. Delroy Pinney, better known as Ras Ahirai, Gail Greenaway,
Yes.
Kirklin Liebert, um, Sherilyn Liebert, Mr. Sajo, Bish Sajo, and all the other
Yes.
persons who came to assist and who contributed. Denver Shakar, she was there as well. And the persons who came out to support Livy Liebert, he is synonymous to the Breadfruit Festival and he came by, and I really appreciated seeing him because he has played an instrumental role in the early years of the Basgot Breadfruit Festival. And not only that, when we have the Christmas tree lighting and whatever other activity, has assisted
Yes.
significantly. You know, so it was good. It was really good to see Livy and the family there to support as well.
The
Yeah,
sound man, what's the name was the guy who played it? What's the name of the sound that was there? The music
Braveheart
that was
sound,
very okay, very
Omali Wilkins.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Wilkinson. One of their brothers, the
It's,
two
it's,
guys, the
it's both
family related.
who,
The guy that playing the music, those two young guys.
if they're related.
Yeah, no?
No, I don't think so. No,
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
could be
must
wrong.
gotta big them up with the music, the music selection, was
Yeah, it was.
appropriate and stuff like that. So you gotta big them up with stuff like that. So our most young sound when they're out and in a crowd, sometimes people play for them to please themselves or what they like, but I must say kudos. So stuff like that I'll pay attention to because you'll have young people, young children around as time goes. So yeah, good selections.
by Banky, you really gave a wonderful overview of the activity, man. I mean, even though I wasn't there, I feel like I was
Yeah,
there based on the review that you gave, and you really looked at a lot of the aspects that a person like me would look
of
at as
course.
well too when I go to those kind of things. 'Cause we're even planners too. We're into those things. I
Yes.
mean, Denise, I know you might not know that side of me, but I have been into promotion as well too. So those are things that I look at,
And I
in
must say,
terms
yeah,
of that.
son,
Mhm.
I must say the decor was very high standard where if you have anyone want a place to sit and any elderly or anyone with a mom with baby, you have well nice decorated seats and stuff like that, very comfortable. So a lot of thought went into the planning, and then you still have the breadfruit sign where you can take picture. So it might be in a small environment, but the thought that goes into the event is just like you're doing the agriculture open day or the mango festival. Is well thought out. You see what I mean? A lot of thought goes into this thing. It's not just you're doing something. So the decor, it's a small space but look big at the same time. So this space was well used.
and
Later on,
and
what they
and
can do
even
also, because later on what they can do, what cars I already sketch out and look at the area, they can also get involved with traffic department and block off the road cars. When the cars that come up will stay which part this guy used to live at Joshua, and then the next road basically is up by Mansden area. So between that spot there, there's no road between the community. So that area could be blocked off and and expanded in that area. Okay, if you come up, you could still drive across. And if you want to go, then you see what I mean? So it could work out. They could stay there for a while, but just blocked off the road from up above, and so you could go across by Mansa and still go across by the next road. Between that area, there ain't no road. So they come into, say, have a span of length of road that could be used to put other tents and stuff like that. And you don't disrupt the traffic.
Yeah.
you see, then you say you're getting some nice songs, you know what I mean, to work for this year. Um, and I the fact too that about sound, Braver sound is a sound also for unity. Um, Bucci and Baz, I think Shaba is I think Wheeler's son. Um, is guys from St. Thomas's. So Barnes got, and so it's nice to see that energy and thought is placed into it and so on. And nice that you big them up like that, Banky. Also,
Yeah,
some
man.
former students of mine too. So I really, when I listen to this, man, they're really making me feel proud that my efforts are not in vain. Looking at Denise here and listening to some of the wonderful things that she is now doing. I guess
Yeah.
also Denise here, when I come, we're gonna have to work on a festival for fountain, eh? So that might be the next to look at. We'll have to figure out maybe what crop we're going to look at and or what we're going to have in a festival in Fountain as well. So I'm not happy to have something like that happening as well. So we're gonna have to talk to Carbo when I come through and we get something worked out. But um, Breadnut Festival now is quite interesting. The other thing, I'm hoping that as we are doing festivals and they're stimulating these kind of activities. We have the mango, we have the breadfruit, and now we are looking to introduce the breadnut. This should be a sort of impetus for the agricultural department to really begin to zoom in on certain crops that we could eventually then seek to promote on a higher level, and then eventually, as with the breadfruit festival where you're creating recipes and so on, and it stimulates creativity, then you could eventually have unique products that eventually could be branded. We have new things now that we can even export out of Sim Kitts and Nevis. So, food for thought as we think about the Breadnut Festival. So update us now on what's happening when and what to expect for this Breadnut Festival. When and where and what to expect for this Breadnut Festival.
Yes, so we call it the Breadnut Affair, and it's
Mm.
going to be held this Friday, which is June 27th at the Pond Hill Community Center. And basically, we're just inviting the general public to come and feast on the different flavors that we are exploring from the bread nut. Of course, there will be a plethora of dishes that you can try. It is going to be held from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And so, what you can expect our bread nut balls, cream of bread nut soup, curried bread nut in coconut milk, cake, bread nut bread, muffins, and so on and so forth. And it's going to be this coming Friday at the Pond Hill Community Center. It's traditionally a Pond Hill event. Our department held it many, many, many years ago. I think even before I started working at the department, I want to believe. And so we are trying to revamp it and bring it back. Of course, we understand that breadnut is not okay. Well, breadnut was it's just tricky because sometimes you find like you can have a plentiful breadnut and then a couple weeks after, like 2 weeks after, no breadnut. But we are working towards making sure that this event is able to showcase the various ways that you can create dishes from the bread nut, and we want to let persons know that bread nut is something that you can actually use and showcase its versatility, and there are many new benefits from the bread nut in terms of nutritious value, and so we just wanted to have this bread nut affair to showcase that.
I am really loving what I'm hearing, and Banky, I don't know if like me, sorry, you have your agricultural, agribusiness cap on and seeing the true potentials that I am hearing here as we are having this, because based on what I'm hearing here so far, this is three serious agricultural crops that we could zoom in on based on these annual festivals so far and just begin to prep ourselves for that. Okay, we know we're going to have something to do with bread nut, and at the same time, not just necessitate for the bread nut season to be able to do these things, but the fact that people are going to be creating all of these different recipes and so on, then these products, like I'm saying, could eventually be branded and packaged and maybe be on the shelves in supermarkets, or maybe being sold in some restaurants, or gift shops, and or exported overseas, because we will have the opportunity to get our products maybe FDA approved and USDA approved and so on. So it is that longer term thinking that I am seeing as we begin to not just as a as an affair to stimulate the activity within the community, um, for a day in the year, but looking at the longer term spin-offs and possibilities.
Let me say this, Yason, about our community. We have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to food preparation. We are very creative. It's just like traditionally growing up, when you hear about bread nut, we usually just boil it and you shell it and you eat it like that. But then when you have these events, you really see the creativeness of the people comes out. I mean, you hear what Denise just talk about. I mean, curry this, curry that. I mean, I don't really want to go line up like when your Jad not come out, you go sleep over, go wait for
And
go
she's
be the
talking about
first to
muffin
stample.
and bread
Yes,
and cake
I
and
mean,
all of
it's
this. So,
amazing that
here's
the
what I'm
stuff
saying,
that come
Banky.
out of yes,
Here's what I'm saying. Imagine now that, okay, you see around Easter time, the Jamaica bun has become a big thing. I mean, that is exported globally, right? I mean, we get it. You get it. You can get it in America. You can get it anywhere. This Jamaica bun, and they have packaged it, and label it,
of course.
and is shipping it. So imagine that as we do these activities and some of these recipes that you're talking about is created, the fact that we can now then package these things like how we do the tamarind balls and what else they have there, this other thing that is um, guava cheese,
Guava cheese,
that are two
of
products that
course.
seemingly coming out of Nevis that is beginning to be a demand on the export market. Same way we could be developing products from these activities. So that's what I'm saying in terms of the longer term revenue generation activities and entrepreneurs or agripreneurs that could be developed as a result of these activities. So
But
these are some
one
of the things that
thing
we have.
before we move on, one thing we're going to, what will have to happen that I mean working and I plan to work on is to the propagating of breadfruit and planting up more breadfruit around the island, and also breadnut. Those things are very important because of the just for food security and because of the nutritional value and the value of these
Food
crops is very
sovereignty.
important. Yes, so breadnut is something definitely need to be planted up more, and also the breadfruit, because the breadfruit have different colors. You have the yellow and different shape and stuff like that, and you can always get this stuff just in the region that is already grafted and stuff like that, especially from Trinidad and these places. So it's just to make the links and start getting these I can get them in tissue culture farms and stuff like that. So great job,
It's
Denise.
funny
You
you
can
said that
continue.
because I somebody was telling me that Jamaica actually has canned breadfruit. I said, what? Yeah, they actually
Yes,
export. Well, they have canned breadfruit. So usually people say your breadfruit can be this after you cut it
of
and
course.
whatever. That's it. But there are ways that you could prepare and preserve it and package and
Yes,
export. So it's interesting that you say that, and I do agree that we need to replant some of these trees, especially breadfruit and breadnut. I definitely plan on having some breadfruit trees because, and one thing I want to do. This is not work related. I want to learn how to dehydrate like various fruits and products so that you could like package them, and
nice.
if not package them to sell but to just save them for when they are not in
Of course.
plentiful or they're scarce, so that I can have them to use. So especially the breadfruit,
Beautiful.
as well as with breadfruit, sometimes we have a lot of wastage at different times of the year. Mangoes, definitely see a lot of wastage when it comes to mangoes. um Sometimes the star fruit too, you see a lot of wastage when you see them on the ground.
Yes.
So there's certain things that we should try to do to mitigate that. And one of the things that our department did, we did put on an agro processing workshop earlier this year, and that went well. And participants were
Nice.
able to learn some of the techniques to preserve these produce. And so I'm trying to get into that, not right now, but in the very near future, so that I mean, well, especially moringa, I want to learn up to preserve, well, make it into a powder form then, so that when you're not morning, you just scoop
Yes,
and you drink it or whatever,
of
put it in your
course.
smoothie. So there's so many things that we can do. A lot of times we think these plants or these fruits and vegetables can only be consumed one specific way, but there are so many different ways that you can do it. Usually for me, breadfruit, when you think of when I used to think of breadfruit, I used to think of it breadfruit cheesy, and then when you think of breadnut, you take it down, you boil it, you peel it and you eat it like that. So that's one of the reasons why I feel like the breadnut affair would be a good way to raise awareness and to show persons that it can actually be utilized in various ways. So,
I'm loving the language that you're speaking, Denise, here, and I'm loving the way that you're thinking. One of the things that I'm hearing very loud in what you're saying is that they really need to be as you provide these activities, there need to be a closer relationship with the agricultural department in order to help to foster some of what you're creating, because the end result can really be beneficial for you, the community, and the agricultural industry on a whole. Because as you expose people to some of these products, as we're talking about, like when we do the Breadnut Festival, and then people learn, okay, well, if you have similar, like with food festival where you have recipe books, and somebody might be able to learn a recipe there, and they go home and master it, and
mhm,
or maybe tweak it to their own
yeah,
unique way of doing it,
different.
and that becomes maybe a product that is marketable. So I understood you said that you did a agro processing workshop. Maybe another one of those workshop could include also seeking to get um, and I could think of the person in my mind right now, and I know they wouldn't have a problem with me mentioning the name anyway too, but get somebody like maybe Daniel Atherton, who is on the business side of things, to do something with the business side, because I think that is where the lack is, to be able to see these ideas and opportunities and be able to have the knowledge, the business knowledge or the business acumen to be able now to take it from just maybe a hobby or just something that you can do to creating a business venture or becoming an entrepreneur, an agripreneur out of whatever it is that you're doing. So maybe that is something, that's another, and it is a timely workshop, I think, would be, because it would help the community on one side, and even on the agricultural side, the farmer side, it is one of the areas that a lot of the farmers are lacking in. And even if you have young people who are interested in whether it's agro processing and so on, they still would need to learn.
Your son, you can't
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
your son.
Oh,
Check
sorry,
your
my hand got up on the
okay,
my hand touched the
The
mute
okay,
button.
mute.
My bad, sorry.
all right, no
So I
problem.
was saying, yeah, I was saying, they would be able to, to learn the business side of it and be able to utilize that knowledge. So I think that is something that you should consider in assisting that part, because I was saying making the product is one thing, but then being able to
Mm-hmm.
market it and distribute it is a
It's
whole
a
other ball
totally
game altogether.
different
Right.
thing. Mm-hmm.
So having them learning, that aspect of it now would help them, in terms of what they need to do now and understanding a bit of that side to take the product now from just making a product now to dealing with the customers and the consumers and getting it out there in the global space.
Yeah.
Uh, let me. I know earlier Denise had spoke about and I realized she really enjoyed that part of the activity, the peeling of the breadfruit. Because the breadfruit is very tough, eh? So it's not something you could take, you could just take up and start peel it how you want to peel it. You gotta work the knife, and so you gotta be wise. So if you're not accustomed to peeling stuff, you're not peeling an Irish potato or a carrot or one of those stuff. Is a skin, is a kid, a thin, a tough skin, a tough material. So you really gotta know to work the knife. You understand? To
Mhm.
really to be good at it. And so
Yeah,
I must
that's
commend
true.
them to come up with that idea. So it will cause some laughter and some
Yeah, you
humor.
did.
I can see it. You see? But at the same time, you really put on a serious face because you really got to be focused. So I can see that I'm not so trick they have up when it come to the bread nut if they're gonna peel one and then take out the seeds and what I don't know, but I guess they'll figure it out because they seem to be creative and to bring some fun. So I must give them kudos when it comes to peeling of the breadfruit. Because when I hear her mention peeling of the breadfruit, we say, well, this is gonna be a challenge one. Because this is not like eating mangoes and like peeling Irish potato.
Yeah, yeah,
It's something if you
exactly.
don't know how to do it, you might cut your hand if you not know to use a knife. So I must comment them for that, and I'm glad um the audience and those who enjoy it and see it as one of the what was the highlight of the event. So that
Yeah.
that is good. Good.
And it's funny because I used to hate peeling breadfruit. And every year for this event, I have to peel breadfruit because, okay, I'm very hands on. So I try to chip in and help, especially when I was the community development officer. We used to be peeling a whole ton of breadfruit because it helps, because sometimes persons are assisting and using their time. So we try to ease that burden. But I learned recently actually how to peel breadfruit now with ease because Ras Iroy or
Hmm.
Delroy people gave me a hint and a tip. He told me basically use a vegetable peeler. I have been using a vegetable peeler and it has been extremely easy now to peel breadfruit. So I said,
makes
imagine that.
makes makes
Um,
sense.
Make it so easy, just and once the vegetable peeler is
Yes.
sharp, so now
Yes.
I think I'm a pro at peeling breadfruit,
Master.
but that's what we do. Why we
You
came
see
up with it.
what I what
Mm.
what I would do is like I would bust it down into four smaller pieces.
Well,
You see
even
what I
when
mean?
I do
Bust it
that,
down into halves.
it's a mess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just hard to peel.
Yeah.
Even if I cut it, slice it into four, it's tough. It's
Yeah.
just I don't know if it was my knife or whatever. But now with the
Yes. So
vegetable peeler, if I cut it down
of
and
course.
that's it, and it's
Yes.
really
Makes
easy.
sense.
So
Makes
I learned
sense.
something the other day. Every day you learn something new. So
Yes. So
yeah,
how long have been the bread nut? We call it bread nut what? We call it
Affair.
bread
Breadnut
nut
Another
Afia.
affair.
affair.
Yeah.
How long that been going on apart from the
I
breadfruit one?
I might I stand to be corrected. I think it was only held like maybe once or twice in the past
Okay.
few
Okay.
years. It
Yes.
it's based on the availability. It's
Of
specific
course.
to Panhill, that area. So
Yes.
it has been
Rollins
held a few
area.
times.
Yeah.
So we tried last year. We did try to well, we had it on the calendar, I guess, in some sense, but it didn't pan out. So we just wanted to try it this year, to see and to just give people a taste of what's to come. Because, of course, with these events, um, we start out and it gets bigger and bigger as time goes on. So we just want to give people a
Yes.
taste of the flavor and encourage them to come back year after year. So the goal of the Breadnut Affair is to just raise awareness and encourage persons to value, because I find like sometimes people don't value certain plants or fruits and vegetables that we have, and so that's one of our goals as well, is to encourage persons to value what you have. A lot of persons, well, I know some people who do not like bread nut, and there was
Hmm.
one person who came on Saturday and said they don't like breadfruit at all, and then they ended up buying a few things because once you
Yes.
add the flavor and you do whatever, you find that it works and you like
Of
certain
course.
things. Sometimes we just have to add the flavors and infuse whatever
Yes.
we feel is best to 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 love the food. So that's one of our goals.
And
For those who just
eating is
tuning
funny.
in, yeah, for
Eating
those
is
who
funny. I
just
was
tuning in,
thinking
I
about.
wanted you to go over the time is the event and what are some of the dishes, because I'll miss the name of the dishes and cause them that got me kind of want to shop early. So I wanted to go over for those who just tuning in and they miss what the event is about and what would be some of the dishes be available and where.
So the Department of Community Development is having a Breadnut Affair, and it is going to be held this Friday, which is June 27th at the Pun Hill Community Center from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Some of the food that you can expect to try are breadfruit cookies, breadfruit bread, curried breadfruit in coconut milk, um, breadfruit muffins, breadfruit
I mean,
cinnamon buns.
bread nut.
Oh my god, see us still in breadfruit. Breadnut muffins,
Bread nut.
cream of breadnut soup, and so on. So there'll be a variety of breadnut dishes to try.
For
I'm
10 in
still
the
in
morning.
10 a.m. Yes
So
to 4
10.
p.m. Yes,
We'll come by and come back and so kind of
You can get
bread
some
nut
lunch.
rolls too,
Your
like the
lunch.
breadfruit rolls. So no
yes,
bread nut drink. A bread nut
yes.
drink
We'll
too?
have breadnut drink. Yes.
Yeah, son. Yeah, man, that sound good.
Yeah, man, it sounds good. It
I
sounds real
love.
good. I mean,
Yeah,
That
definitely.
sounds good.
activities like that, Banky, if I were there, I definitely would have gone because I would have loved to see the different dishes and the different unique things that are being made from it. Um, because I am open to that. I am very much open to trying new things,
Yes.
especially when it comes to different ways of preparing something that you're accustomed to deal with, So learning how it is done in maybe a different culture or different island or different part around the world is sometimes very helpful, and it's just that sometimes it's just something that you have never really thought about. That's one of the things I said before Bang spoke when I was gonna eating is depending on who prepared something else prepared and your first experience with it might sometimes have a negative effect that stays with you for a very long time. Like
Yep.
I had that experience with Marby. I had that experience with Marby. The first time I tasted Marby, I never liked. Maybe it was who made it, and maybe
Yes.
how it was made or whatever. But I just never liked it, and I never. It took me. I'm sure. I could remember the next time I drank Marby. The next time I drank Marby, there was a workshop we had in Sinkis Banky when this guy came to talk about I think it was hydroponics and so on up the university there. And at the event, whoever the person that brought the food and so on, one of the drinks available at the time as a local drink was Marby as the options. And I opted to drink Marby at that time. And when I tasted it, it was lovely. I was like, I mean, it took me I'm sure more than 10 or 15 years not drinking Marby based on my first experience. And so I could understand sometimes people like in different ways may have different, effect or experience.
Yeah. Yeah. That happens a lot. And then you find when you try the food, I mean, sometimes it's the flavoring too, and you might try too
Yes,
much
yes,
of
yes.
cloves or too much
Of
this or
course.
too much of that, and it throws off the whole thing.
It's
And so
all
you
science.
give it, yeah, you give it to somebody, and they're like, "What is this?" But then when you try it with somebody else, or even if the same person cooks it again, and you find that you
Right.
love it. So you know, taste buds and taste preference is a thing where it can make or break somebody's perception of a type of food. So yeah.
So people,
Definitely. But yes, son. Yeah.
Friday morning, 10 o'clock, the place to be is at Pan Hill Community Center, you say, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
Pan Hill Community Center for the Breadnut Affair. So don't have any affair with anybody else. Don't have any affair with anything else. Make sure you have one affair Friday morning,
And with the
be at the
Breadnut.
Pang Hill Community Center and have that Breadnut affair. I'm looking forward to the pictures and videos and feedback and so on. I think maybe Denise, you have to get up one of your team to be a kind of camera
Yeah.
friendly kind of because these things will help and you could probably use them later on for the next year's promotion and things like that. So bear that in mind, and I would really love to see and see some of what happens at that event to help stimulate and encourage people to come out. So people, Nevis people, St. Kitts people, bread not a fear, and even people in Sabre, Stacia, wherever you are in the closer islands, St. Martin, Anguilla, it's something different. It's something for you to experience. Come on over to Nevis. You have time. Today's Tuesday. So you still have a couple of days where you could, schedule Friday, ask the boss to give you 2 hours, to come over to Nevis and spin back over. You can catch one of the ferries. It just take 5 minutes, get you 5-10 minutes, get you over here, and you spend your lunch hour or whatever, and you go back over, right? So I'm loving it, Denise. I'm really loving it, and I'm hoping that the people can turn out, and I do look forward to you continue creating activities like these and stimulating the interest. It is pretty good, I must say, to have the person who is at the helm, going above and beyond to promote these activities and so on. A lot of the times it might just be the person who's the PRO and so on, but it's nice to see, the what they would say, the chief, really not just,
Yes.
but leading from the front, so to speak, coming here and promoting, going on the different platforms and, doing whatever it is to promote these events. I must give you kudos. And I really want to continue to encourage you to continue to do just that. Be the best that you can be in whatever position, despite whatever, and just know that you can do for the community. And I'm loving it. And I guess when I do return, as I said, we're going to do the fountain thing, and I'll be definitely open to working along with you in terms of anything to, continue to build our community.
Yes. Can't wait. I'll hold you to it. And thank you for the words of encouragement. I really appreciate it. And um, sometimes it's a lot of work and effort and time and energy that goes into these events. But then when we get the encouraging words and the positive feedback. Of course, you might have negative here and there, but people like you and Banky, you encourage us and you keep us going. And so I just want to say thank you for supporting and promoting our events. And it means a lot because and sometimes I don't even have to come on the show, but I hear you guys still speak about our activities, and so I really want to show appreciation to both of you for doing that. That means the world to me,
Give thanks.
and
Appreciate that.
you know, thanks for allowing me to come on this platform to speak about it. I really appreciate it. I see a comment.
And
Yep.
you're most welcome. Denise, it seems like 2026 a big food festival with a bigger vision and venue is a great business opportunity. So that's an idea. Maybe have a big all out find maybe the mango and the bread nut and the breadfruit and the fish, all of that combined. I have just this big fruit
Yes.
and food festival.
Of course.
So the food for thought, and at least
Yes.
people are listening, and you're getting the ideas and suggestions, and that's what, as a community, development leader, you would want to get the feedback from the people, and so you take the ideas and work with it.
No, this is a brilliant idea, Yasan. It's a
That's a
brilliant
really
idea.
good
Yeah,
Because,
idea. Thank you for
usually,
that, Caroline.
around time, when coming up to the Department of Culture, the Department of Agriculture usually have a food festival where we
Yes.
food fair,
display
yes,
a lot of the
and it's a
different
big
food around
activity.
a food fair. Yes, well, I mean, I'm not
We
sure
did
if they're gonna have
before.
one this year. I'm not sure
Before.
what's and stuff like that, but I know that was something I used to love going around the island, pick the different varieties of mangoes, the mansiport, the pomegranate, the one that the hard one with the spiky thing. What's the name again? That but tie up your mouth. It like a, it's a palm tree we used to call Mako, the Mako, those where people would
Oh, the
really be
maca.
seeing and stuff like that. So, yeah, so this is a very great idea because we do have a lot of stuff, and one of the things we focus on mainly here is, and that's where the mango festival is a good thing. One type of mango, the amipali, but then there's so much varieties. So what the community development is doing, I gotta big up you guys, and you know what I mean, with what you all doing, because you're showing people how to use food in different ways and stuff like that that they've never even thought of. So you guys have to take a lot of credit for what you all doing, and those who in charge, the ministers that are in charge of that department. I hope they appreciate and see the extent that you all go out, and that there's sometimes people come for a photo up, and when everything come off well, because these things do take effort. Just so the planning that it takes to do a big event is the same plan it takes to do even that the thing is not small, because then the crowd come out to the same event sometimes. So you really gotta put in and plan it right. You see, but one thing I can say, things that done in the countryside, cause remember most of the people live in that side of the island anyway. So you can always expect you will have a good turnout.
Yeah.
Because if it's one thing, that community support whatever is saluting the community, and you got to give kudos to a community like that. You know what I'm saying? It's always a good thing. So that's what I want to say. But there is keep up the good works, continue promoting and helping the community in what you all have been doing all the time, and for the staff, I mean, continue working together. I mean, it's a working environment. I mean, and every time you all see eye to eye like any other play, but at the same time you all pull it off, and that is what it is. So more time, you just got to give yourself a tap on the back to see when things come off. You understand? When great heads come together, what it's all about. Remember, we all are civil servants to serve the public. So when things are done, even if you don't get along with it inside the office, when it's out in the public, what I see is professionalism, and everybody work together. The driver come out help the same way, and everything. You see what I mean? Even if they have to go and make a run, is no grumbling. They go and make the run and everything. So yeah, I love team effort and stuff like that.
Thank you. And I just want to put a plug and encourage the listening audience. Even if you're not from Nevis, but specifically for Nevis, um, to I'm not saying that we are not, but we need to be more actively engaged in community and community initiatives, not only specific to festivals, but in general. Be a part of a community group, assist wherever you can, especially if you're from a village that is traditionally close knit. Lend a helping hand. We have Christmas coming up. Be involved. Even if you can come and assist with decorating the Christmas tree or making some sandwiches, whatever it is, we have to be more close knit and assist each other to make our community better. And so I just wanted to put that plug in. Um, Christmas is coming up, and so I'm encouraging all of you to to play your part in the community, and not only for Christmas, but for whatever program or activity that you want to see in your community. The onus is on you to let us know what you want, and we help you however we can to pull these things off. So yeah, I just wanted to say that before I leave you guys.
Nice,
Wonderful.
beautiful.
I think that's a good pitch as well too. I stand with that. We do need to have more community involvement, and there's something that Banky pointed out too. You know, a lot of these activities that you spoke about so far is in some part countryside, and a lot of the time, sometimes when you do have major activities, even like Ram and so on, city, and so a lot of the times, the people in the country don't necessarily get the benefit from that activity spin-off and so on, because in that case everybody might have to leave the countryside and go into town and so on, and that's where the buzz of activity is. But then when you bring the event in the countryside, it kind of does the opposite, where it brings the people from out of the city and from different parts to those communities, and a little money trickle off and stay in the community, and things like that. And it also helps to bring the camaraderie to some extent, because sometimes people visit who they might not see, people who they don't see in a long time and things like that and so on, and they get to, reconnect with people who, they have lost touch with and things like that. So I am really
Oh,
appreciative of activities like that.
One more
Yeah.
thing before you go. I realize, if I can recall, seeing the flyer in my head. You have samples. This one is different to the back to the breadfruit one. You have samples 3 for 10. How that goes? Is that I see on
Oh
the
yes.
flyer? I mean, might see
Yes.
something
3 for
else.
10. Yes, 3 for 10. Sorry,
So
I
is
didn't not remember to mention that. So each we're having 3 for 10. So if you want 3 samples, you just pay $10. See, just $10 for 3 samples, and you get to try some delicious items.
so it's only samples.
Yes, yes. Because as I said, it's
Okay.
we
Yes.
we start easing our foot into the door with the
Except the
bread nut.
Right.
except the drink. Except the drink. You get by
The
the
drinks
bottles or
will
samples
be
to hold that.
accessible as well. It's not going to be
A sam-
like Breadfruit Festival. We're not there yet. We're gonna get there. Check us
Understandable.
there.
okay.
I think I can
Okay.
understand. I
I
think I can
understand that, but
understand the
that's fine. That's
convenience.
fine. That's fine.
Yes, yes,
I just
yes.
want to make sure me not
Because
come up there with my head to go get it directly. You understand? So my mind a little bit places. So I just a process this so my brain don't okay. Cause I know I'm going over the fly in my head. So I try to make sure we wait. I know see something says but I know okay. I just making sure when I come in and I start to say, well, okay,
You're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, nice. That's fine. Still, I'll still show and you know
Thank
and
you.
can at you come back and give an overview how the samples
Yeah,
them was and what I tried and stuff like that. That goes a lot.
I
Yes.
definitely will.
yeah,
Thank
man.
Okay.
you
Thank you.
both for your time. I
Keep up the
really
good
appreciate
works.
it. Thank you.
Keep up the
All
good
right.
works. Because if you're not doing it, it's one thing. So we give you all the good accolades. We keep it real here, So if you're slacking, we come. We're gonna let you know too, So we keep it
I
real
think
here.
she
But
knows. I think she knows
I
that,
mean,
right?
I
yeah, but
know.
that's how it is. When you do good, we're gonna let you know you do good. You know what I mean? And that's just how it is. And when we see good things happening, yes, definitely. And so far in terms of, I'm not there on the ground. Banky is, but I'm just seeing
Yes.
and watching, seeing the promotion, hearing you on different platforms
And
and different
who
radio
is the minister of
stations.
that area?
Oh,
Who is
of
the
our
minister of that
department.
area? Yes.
Honorable Janelle Nisbet.
All right. And Miss Nisbet, I want to continue support your team led by Denise here and give them every support that you because as you can see, they're doing a beautiful job and without and them is the one who making it look good and that's beautiful. Trust them as you've been doing and kudos, great job and continue supporting your team. Just want to put that in.
She is very
Yeah,
supportive, and
definitely.
yeah,
Yes.
she's a supportive minister, I must say, and she
Beautiful.
always comes and attends and shows her face and encourages the team,
Yes.
and that's one thing I admire about her. She's super supportive, and
Nice.
even if she has
No, she's
like
a young person too. You see what I mean?
yeah,
She's a young
she has
person, and
some
that's how it should be.
really good ideas, and
Yes,
especially when it comes, she has an eye. Like sometimes you might not think of something in a way, and she will points out something. So I really believe that she
nice,
has been very supportive, and I do appreciate like the encouragement and the advice and the
beautiful,
communication that we've had has been really fruitful.
great.
Yeah,
Love to
man.
hear
Well,
that.
continue to make her and the ministry looking good, and you just continue doing what you can for the people of Nevis, because at the end of the
Yeah,
day, the job that you're doing, you're really doing it for the people. And as long as you can continue to make the people feel happy and listen to the advice and take advice and speak to them, let them see that you're approachable and all of that which you are demonstrating. I just want you to continue being that, and in any way you could tweak it to better, well, hey, wonderful. But give thanks, continue to do a wonderful job.
All right, thank you very much, Banky and Yasan. I appreciate being on the topics, and good night, listening audience. I hope to see you soon.
All right, give thanks. Yeah, Banky, and people, that was a very informative engagement with Denise Smith,
yes, sorry.
who is the acting um, head of the what is it, community affairs um, department, and they would
The
have had a
acting part need to come
successful
off now.
they would have had a
Yeah, man, to have the
successful
acting part.
breadfruit. Festival, and is now look forward to Breadnut Festival coming up Friday. So Friday, people,
Yes.
walk lunch, you know, you know, 2 samples, maybe even 3 and all, and get a couple breadnut drink, and that could be your lunch, right? And support the Breadnut Festival. And Banky, you got to make sure to take some pictures and so when you go, because I would really love to see some of the different creative dishes and so on, and pastry and all that that's made from the breadnut. These things excite me. I mean, I don't know about many other people who are in the audience and so on, but I love to see people being creative with natural things that are around us. That gives me a lot of ideas. And I am a kind of person, Banky. I love to toy around in the kitchen. I love to try out different things too. So
Yes, sorry.
getting ideas from other people and the way they do things is always interesting for me, because I can now go home and maybe try something similar and tweak it to suit my
Of
liking,
course.
or
Yes.
add my alternative ingredients and so on that can make it you know according to my diet, because certain things we wouldn't eat, but we might have to replace, if they use maybe let's say cow's milk, we might use almond milk or coconut milk or something like that, and we shift up the ingredients to suit what we our diets is. But wonderful, and I give thanks, and I really hope that the people on Nevis and St. Kitts and the other neighboring islands can come out and support the Breadnut Festival. Like we say, it's a community activity, support the community, to be supporting our communities and our convents more, and not just the event, as Denise here made that pitch at the end of her the pitch to be more involved in community activities on a whole. It doesn't be a festival, but whatever it is, the community might have a cleanup, the community might have a, whatever, going to look after the elderly, whatever it is that they're doing. They might have a project to build on the play field or on the ball field, or to fence up something, or a garden spot that they, things like that too could be initiated. I think every community should have a community garden that the whole community could have, access to, and or at least those who are involved in a cooperative or group or so on can then use it to generate revenue that would help to sustain the farm, or do other, maybe take care of a cricket team or buy uniform, things like that that can help the community. So we really need a lot more of that, and that would help to, cut down on some of the little foolishness that we have within our societies, where we have, people, not wanting to move and going to different villages and all of that and so on. And, we need to break down a lot of those barriers. And I think being more involved in community activities and community engagements and so on will kind of help to shift that kind of mentality. And as we are on community activities, Banky, we are seeing that lack of community spirit within our federation, and it is kind of being obvious right now, especially with the case that we are seeing with the missing teen and St. Kitts. This girl has been missing, I think, from last week Monday, and I mean, I look at when there was this missing teen in Antigua a couple months back, and then I don't want to talk about the after outrage, but just the reaction to the one in Guyana as well. And then we look at St. Kitts here, where a teen is missing for almost a week, and then things are moving as if, I mean, they did have seemed like a search party, I think, on Saturday or something like that. But I want to think, Banky, especially after the recent activity with the brethren over there who died in the mountains there in Saddlers, that Marisha
Mr.
speak about.
Kanks Edward, Mr. Edwards.
Can't Edwards, right. After that case where, okay, he and all of that energy that surrounded that. We would have want to not have a repeat of something like that. Where people wait until last minute to really muster up that energy to have that community spirit and show that we really need to go out and search and find this young lady. I would have thought that a lot more would have been put into, as a people, as a community, as a nation. I mean, regardless of what the situation or what is out there in the media and so on, it's one of us. It's a 15-year-old. Um, you know, there's the other side of that story as well. But at this point, I'm not necessarily even too concerned with some of that side of the story and so on, as I am concerned about, at least her being brought back to her family and at least being brought back alive, and so that at least we could rest in peace. And if she's not, at least that there could be some closure to the matter and the issue. Well, I don't know. I don't know. In terms of, do you think enough is being done in terms of from the authority side to really show that this is something that they're really serious about taking action? That is on the authority side. And what about our people on a whole? Do you think the reactions in terms of our people is what is necessary at this time, or do you think there should be a lot more coming from our society in terms of demanding more, in terms of seeking to get back this girl or get closure to this issue?
Well, growing up in the early 90s in high school and stuff like that, I realized this is going back plus 30 years, a whole generation. 'Cause even in my time, you will hear you can't find this person, and then when you really for a couple of days and you're searching next, you'll hear this person is within an elder, an adult home and stuff like that with some as a whatever it is. You understand? And so then it's just some so we when you hear someone is missing, it's a young lady or a young male, it's just something that is always sad, because remember, my mom have 8 children, so then I have a big family, so then you can think it could be one of us, and then you always think, well, I wonder what it is, because if you don't know, your mind start to go up and down the place. So when I heard this about the young lady missing, because almost every year you hear some young person missing in St. Kitts, and so so we live in a society where things are normalized, and I don't normalize things because these things should not be happening. You understand? So when I hear stuff like this, and then and then you have a lot of negativity behind of it, I don't feed into that. So I see there was a video where a young man was interviewed and stuff like that about, from a news reporter, and just listening for what stuff that he's saying. I'm just listening. I don't know the young man. I don't know the relationship between how close the mom and the grandmother and all this. But he said the young lady is his living partner. So he come to me, call the young lady, wanted to see him. Stuff like that. And then I listened to the mom in an interview the same way. And you see the mom mean well, because she went, I think it's even stuff that she mentioned in the video, she didn't really had to. You understand?
Right.
And then she's not really there trying to, because you see she's hurt, and people is lashing out at her also. And you see what people don't understand, the stuff that the lady mentioned, it break my heart, because the lady mentioned what happened to her at age 11. So which means the child, because that's her only child, that she still allowed the child to go to, is the person who did that act. You see what I mean? For me analyzing what she said then, because she said that because she didn't understand. So which means the same person have to be the child, the act. So you don't know what trauma people are going through. We live in a society that's full of trauma, a lot of trauma, but people put the best thing forward, and we are quick to judge people. You understand? So it's for the officials. Yes, the lady is doing her part, but then there's a police department, and we have, not just police department, we have a community You need to have different political parties who say they have an interest. So something like this, we should be more doing a lot more, lot more. You understand, to make sure that person is safe and be brought back home to her dad or to her mom or a family member. But this is going on too long. If my child ain't come home within a certain hour, you crazy? Much as this time that you can't, how is she gonna eat? How is she gonna function? So I don't feel it 'cause I know the community I live in. You see what I mean? I don't know the young lady, so I just have to look at it, but from the information that she spoke of, and she went into too much of detail for me. You understand? Something you didn't really need it, but she's just going to show how what kind of mom she is to make sure she protecting her daughter because I know because of what she's been through. You understand? And as she's a very protective, maybe too protective, where she'll go to her dad and then her brother. And that is something you don't want to do as parents. You don't want to go against. One, you're both supposed to really do what is best. And if it don't make sense, now you said no, and then the next one say you do it. Nah, the child gonna always go back and forth, and this thing create rift between the one who the child is living in and stuff like that. So I feel for the mom. I don't know who she is, and I mean whatever we can do if to speak to her and to get out her story, and hopefully, I mean, if the young girl is listening, and whatever when we're listening, definitely she reach back home safe to her family, and stuff like this don't continue happen within our community. Yeah, son.
Yeah, I am hopeful. I am hopeful as well that she's returned safe wherever it is, that we can figure it out and get things um, sorted out. I know as you spoke about the video or the interview with the young man and so on. I saw that interview, and there were a lot of comments and so on. In relation to a lot, some things. But our society, it brings some of the things that were discussed, brings up the topic that we have been speaking about for years now. And as I listened to the debate and the discussion, a lot of people spoke to the fact that she was 15 and some of the privileges that seemingly was allowed or is allowed and so on. And then you look at the reality that how far is 15 from 16, where she can give consent for certain things, right? And brings us closer to that discussion again. Should we still continue to have the age of consent at 16, or should it, like all other measurements for adulthood, begin at 18, and even older? Um, so, these were some of the things that I consider and I look at as I looked and listened to the interview and some of the comments and so on that was made after the interview and so on. However, like I said though, for me the major issue is for her to really be back safely with her family, and we're hopeful that everybody on St. Kitts and Nevis. I mean, I know it's music festival time. I know people have all kind of other things that they have planned to do and so on and want to do and so on. But I want to think that this is something that really should, get all of us should be involved, because even like the mother was saying, I mean, today it's her, but tomorrow it can be you. Some of you have daughters, you have children, and um, I mean, Banky, you mentioned back in the 80s and 90s and so on, we would hear somebody get missing. And the thing is, as you said, most of the time, maybe it might have been there when, as we would say, they went by a boyfriend or something like that, right? However, in more recent times, that is not so much the case. The end result of sometimes these missing is that they don't come back. It is, when they do found, they're found unalived, right? And so it is a whole different mindset and kind of thinking and reality that we are dealing with in these times versus, as you said, 20, 30 years ago. So we really need to have our people and those who, have anybody who have any sort of little information or some hint or something. I mean, this is time to speak up. This ain't time to be thinking that you're in a snitch and you're in a rat and all of these things. This is the life of one of our future. We don't know, because we don't know um what she may turn out to be, or what her destiny is. She could be the first female prime minister. We don't know. You know what I mean? But we will not know unless she is given the opportunity to strive and to get back and to continue her education and to be a part of society. But I just couldn't allow us to have the program without commenting or bringing that topic to the fore, and share my views and opinions, and also play my part in terms of encouraging the nation to act and to respond to such a cause, and let's do all we can to bring back or find or bring resolve to this issue that we're facing with
You see,
Felix. And
yeah, you see, one of the things, I mean, if you're doing things scientifically, 'cause even if you said 18 is an adult, but that doesn't mean 18, that mean you can make decision. We can remember how the brain develop, the central part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex. I mean, at age, more or less develop at age 25, 22, 25, more or less 25, basically. So you can be 18, but in the United States, you cannot drink unless you're 21. But you could go to the war and all this thing, but you can, when you come back in the US, you can't have a beer, you can't have alcohol. You see what I mean? So stuff. There's an interview. Let's say a podcast with Mr. Astafan Dwyer, and he spoke about the some of the negativity that was done from since back in the palm time, but leading up to present time. And then one of the things he spoke about is the constitution that was handed down to them, that was just give them this that don't benefit them. But we also may not understand them things. They can remember my brain work funny, Can me know a man gonna come a wham it out the belly, and a later get it one wham it, and got diarrhea, and a later get it one dodo. He was a member of parliament, my brethren. But every time he come in, that government I was a part of, all the nonsense he talk about, he end up and even implicate and say the cabinet agreed with all these things and said after that. We say, what a man. And this here to this talking, brethren, me don't want people to talk to me. Me know why, you understand, me go listen to the message, you understand? But the message is what you say, you are part of. You see what I mean? And me for me personally, you understand, as me I say, if you don't look like a me or native, you should not be in a government and make decision. So that was wrong for he to be as a part of. Because these guys ain't serious, me brethren. How you want to come and say that constitution, all the worst about the constitution, and you, as a minister of government, for donkey years, I come and let them wham it to attack nonsense to intelligent people. Waiting people foolish, brethren. That's what I keep saying. None of these parties am I supposed to listen to, none of them, and you want independent and take the country into your own hand and do what is right. If independent can't do it and make cars, if me put myself up this as an independent, Virgin is no nonsense posted. I'm not trying to butt up things with nobody, Say if they not come correct, nobody think about it. Cause nobody who's in serious cannot lead me in our work. So when do I go come out to the podcast every day? Yeah, me listening, and pick sense of the nonsense because they might talk and they might learn about he and the ignorance what he talking in my head. You see, cause how the hell you gonna say we had, and then that even that come be changed? I must say the same thing, We had all them was a part who have the chance to change things. They're talking about constitution reform. They had all this season to change nothing. Me not understand this thing, yeah. So my point is, yes, son, we got to do better. You understand? So me goes back to say, they know the age of consent is 16. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
All these men that we keep electing, or whether be pervert. Well, me need to ask this question all the time because me not understand that. And they got girl children, whether a pervert, we keep leading and putting us to run the country all the time for over since 1983. A pervert run the country. So nobody want to change the act and to protect our boys and all these things. It's okay. People got to understand, no, there are consequences when it come to my children, them. So I always ask the young girls who them because we only like to talk about 12 o'clock. I want lunchtime. Me not understand what that mean. Can me eat when me hungry? Me not about 12 o'clock at lunchtime. If me not hungry, me not eat. Me eat when me belly say eat. You understand? So me eat food for breakfast. So me not eat when 12 o'clock come now 1 o'clock. Me eat when I hungry. If I hungry now, I go upstairs and I eat. I'm wife gonna say, you as I eat bye. And then we look, she start to eat too. So me don't know what you say. You see what I mean? So my point is, we eat when we want. So I don't want these guys them come here with the flick time running out on them and they're trying to whatever look sympathy. Me not sympathy to give to these guys who don't sell out the country and with millions and all these things that cause. I remember I hear this somebody asked Mr. Asafani, well, what happened to Love Valley Project? I can't remember. They did laugh. Madness, Bridget. Madness. So I would encourage him to stop come up with this podcast. Yeah, 'cause I don't know how to encourage him because he's putting himself more deeper in the hole because he keeps saying it. These, yes, and I keep hearing myself. Yeah,
I don't know.
something it was,
No,
unless, well,
it's
maybe
not
they
on
might,
my side.
well, maybe they might listen now, so I don't know. People that maybe they interfere without many matters. But they continue. People are going to listen anyway. So, so the reality is, well, forward. The age of consent need to move ASAP. You don't hear CCMA talk about it. You don't hear NRP talk about it. You don't hear PLP. What is on PAM? Labor.
Mm-hmm.
None of them. And we have females, lawyers, and all kind of other people and female preachers. But what I say about our society, Virgin? What that say about our people? If these things and then we have other ethnic group living amongst us who have different cultures, we in cultures is you can get married at age 12 and 13 in lower age. People travel their practices where they go. You see? So these are the craziness that we have. Our society, we got to commit on this. We cannot say we have 100 churches in Little Nevis and then you hear nobody coming up because you're quick to judge and say, oh, the person this and the person that. I'm not about that. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty, and that's how it should be. I'm not going to pass judgment on nobody, because light the candle, and everybody got things they want to hide. But we're going to talk about other stuff. We need to get away from that. What is important is the safety of the young lady. For me, to be back home in a safe place, I don't and not listen to what's going on outside there. But this music festival now go put me think about the young lady and her safety and her family. Okay? Yes.
Yeah, and I am very much full that our people, can really do whatever they can, and the authorities, can, as they say, I'm seeing some, ministers saying they will leave no stones unturned and all that. And I'm hoping that it is not just talk and that we can see that they really do make some concerted efforts to really bring home, that young 15-year-old. And so we could have some closure to this very, very, very disturbing issue that we are faced with here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Banky, and it speaks to the way we dealing with things and the way our society is Today, it seems, um, we 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 have we have started to become a 3 4 days hot topic, and then we forget about whatever it is. We have become numb to a lot of things that's going on around us. Like we used to say back then, it's just like a battle mashup. Something happened, man, it's just like a battle mashup, and you sweep it up and throw it outside. um it's some serious times that we're living in.
Yes. Well, Yason, I mean, I'll just say, well, let me go and touch agriculture a little bit. Let me touch, let me say, well, let me start off with Hamilton Sugar Estate Mill, which is still work ongoing, but we still haven't heard from any members of parliament. I mean, about the project, what the intent of the project. We just going back from what information I'm receiving about a lease and what the people kind of already advertising this thing on their website, that they were doing guided tours and all this different stuff that I'm speaking. You'll put in Vanilla Farm Nevis, you'll see everything click up about the Hamilton Estate Mill. I don't know how we can give away something like this that we ancestors have worked and toiled and then still wasn't paid, and then given to the other side for compensation. So we always had to start from scratch. And now you get to another this place for these people to make money off of, and to teach others about our own history when know nothing about us. We no come that, and our people, I realize, are very well, not all, but because we tend to want to play the party politics, we realize the NRP have not even mentioned a word about it. You understand? And I don't think they'll talk about it either. Everybody's shutting a blind eye. Me not shut blind eye, because I know what the intent of what these things. I keep saying, me not stop saying, when you see people coming into your country and going around and pick up a little buckle here with a small plastic bag and put it in here and a buckle here and a plastic there, they ain't love your country more than you. Well, then a family, so they love the country more than you. They want it. I tell you, don't trust nobody, who come in and acting like they love your country more than you. They have intent, real intent. Me, when I engage people who are not from here, I ask all the whys, why this, where you're from, why Nevis, apart from anything else. You see what I mean? And what you're trying to benefit, what is your intent? No, then me ask too much of whys, so then I also know the mute, they can't talk. But this is why I ask this question, because these, see what happened in front of your face? 6 acres of land in Hamilton Mountain where farmers hope they can get land in the name, and then they get a whole Hamilton Estate Mill. What are people, eh? You see, is our people, is the problem. Our new enslavers is our own, the educated fools, and them we have. That's what it is, the educated ones, them. Because they have so what the pass a test and have this biggest and this prestigious college, everything belong to giving away the country. Independence, true independence mean land, mean land. Okay? Hamilton Estate and New River Estate is one of those estates you can go and see the artifacts, the machinery, the drums, everything intact. And you're telling me gonna go there for somebody who don't look like me to come tell me about my own history? That not gonna happen. You see, that not gonna work. And they ain't gonna talk to and tell my youth, they're gonna speak to my youth either. Cause I'm gonna send my youth on a trip from the Caucasian and this and that to talk to my youth about what the ancestors have done to my ancestors and playing important with this nonsense. I ain't entertaining these things in my virgin. Who want to entertain these things, I wish them all the best. But I know in the long run, it's going to reflect us. You see? Us is going to reflect, because these things should have been running by our tourism department, my virgin. And we all can agree on this. That is my part about that, your son. Because I not stop talking about it, Even when he open me and talk about it, So the government, whatever agreement was already done, they need to take it back, give them back their money, and finish up the project. And when the project is open, it is open under the flagship of our tourism department. You understand? And this is the next thing again, when it come to our heritage thing, and it come to like the Navy's historical conservation, if you're in a native, you ain't supposed to be on it. Yeah, you got certain things you just have to protect. If you're not a native, you cannot be on it. You got to rule out a lot of people, a lot of things, my virgin, because these are who are flack it up and full it up, and they're working with each other. Because we are blinded. You see, and then they donate this and then this and that and whatever. If you're not a native, you cannot be on certain board. Period. You cannot take part in you be a part of the government and all these things. It shouldn't happen. It happened to Nevis and it happened to St. Kitts. I ain't for that. If you are making a little donation, but you not be a part of nothing, no in our work. That's how we're supposed to be. This is not being prejudiced, however you want to call it. If a prejudice, me not business. Me not apologize for these things. You see me? Because these are the reality. You understand? We got to put things in place properly. Nevis got its own government, thinking they its own government too. And then you have a federal government. You set it. Otherwise, Sinking going to get more than Nevis. You see? If you don't put these things in place. So they know the constitution is messed up, but they don't want to change it. But they don't come and woman talk the bill and in the whammy. Well, let us say in the woman tell them in the whammy. Because me not gonna pity. Me no fish poison, So if you do something is wrong, me not sorry for them brethren. Me not gonna sympathy from people who benefit and steal, Because I know if you can take 60 million from Social Security, me taxpayers money that me pay for, and build homes, and you not pay back Social Security the money. Well, when me pay back the money for to an institution put the money, me not understand that. Me not supposed to pay the money. That's the whole point. So people should benefit it. You understand? When you're making out $24,000 a year, $30,000 a year, they should be getting free homes, free water, free electricity. Because when you have an institution not paying all these things,
locals will have to pay 20 tour for the tour Vanilla Paradise. I am just here looking up the web.
Yeah. Oh.
Your tour, your guided tour. Okay, the experience. Step into the world of vanilla orchards and experience firsthand how we cultivate organic, sustainable vanilla on our beautiful Caribbean island. Our immersive tours offer.
Who is ours? Back up. Who is ours? When you say ours, who is ours?
Okay, well, I'll tell you. Ours is referring to the guided tour. Gina Emson, who is the farm founder and owner, and I guess it's the Caribbean island. I'm reading what is here. I'm just reading what is on the website.
I understand what you just read, man. Me brain can work with the what you just say. So pick up the word. Let me continue. Interject. I want to interject first, right there. There is a difference between a passport holder by investment. What they call citizen, between a native. Yeah, there's a difference between a native and a citizen. This why I distinguish that. You're still not a native. Me no business we got 10 passport. I can think it's a native. You're not a native. We just want to put that in place. So they need to understand that. Because me don't know how they can speak like that. And that's what all politicians say. Oh, they're citizens. Oh, they're citizens. Yeah, me go say me want to become a native, so me have a right to say me want. And me not apologize for that. Because I know one thing is right, yes, son.
Yeah,
so me not entertaining nonsense. I'm reading what I'm saying.
They're saying what they want.
Me the business, then I hold water. That's fine, but me collect it.
Let me give the general public an idea of what is being said here, because I am reading it for the first time myself too. So it says, the full vanilla experience. Step into the world of vanilla orchards and experience first on how we cultivate organic, sustainable vanilla on our beautiful Caribbean island. Our immersive tours offer a unique glimpse into one of the world's most precious spices. Enter the fascinating world of vanilla. Inhale the fragrant fumes of vanilla. the fragrant perfume of vanilla, as well as share insights about its origins and specifically on Nevis. Meet the farming assistants who look after the 2,000 plants currently growing, as well as Tony, the canine vanilla connoisseur, and our 3 farm cats. What to bring? Comfortable walking shoes, sun hat, and your curiosity. Tour guide leader, Gina Emson, farm owner and founder. What to expect? When? Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. sharp, by appointment only. Duration approximately 2 hours. Guide led by farm founder Gina Emson and or Jesse Wiley. Special treat: enjoy a delicious vanilla infused delicacy during your visit. Visit our shade houses and discover over 2,000 thriving vanilla plants. Explore our sustainable farming practices. Learn about vanilla's fascinating journey from orchard to extract. Meet our dedicated farming teams pampering our orchards. Discover unique art pieces by local craftsmen. Say hello to Tony, our beloved canine, vanilla connoisseur, vanilla and coffee farms. Enjoy a vanilla-infused treat, cover history of culture in our region. Practical information guidelines due to the detailed nature of our tours and the delicate environment we create for the vanilla orchards. This experience is best suited for visitors age 12 and above. This allows us to provide an experience while protecting sensitive vanilla vines. Admission, US $20 per person, EC $20 for local residents. Group size, to ensure an optimal experience for everyone, we limit the maximum number of participants per tour to 15. Please contact us for group bookings exceeding this number. Your booking will be confirmed once we have a minimum of 5 people per tour. Parking is available at the historic Hamilton Estate Sugar Mill. Detailed directions provided upon booking confirmation. Is Vanilla Paradise Navy suitable for visitors with limited mobility? While the tour involves some walking, there are opportunities to rest and enjoy the surroundings. After exploring the vanilla growing areas, visitors can relax under the shady guinea trees, and our team is happy to accommodate those extra time or assistance. We have a ramp for limited mobility and easy access to the restrooms in the new Vanilla Cafe at Hamilton Mill that will open in September 2025. If you have specific mobility concerns, please let us know in advance and we will do our best to ensure a comfortable and enjoyable visit. Join our community for updates, tips, and stories from Nevis's first vanilla farm. Discover the magic of vanilla. Yes. And so that is what is happening there. So based on what we are seeing here, the Hamilton aspect of it, mill aspect of it, should be open in September, and locals will have to pay $20 for the tour.
So why a project like this, you don't hear the premier, I don't hear a member in tourism. This is like a secret. Everybody's a Nevis blind. I only who can see, but a project of this magnitude where you're turning over one of the historical sites, you understand, to non-nationals, and unless they don't expect right to speak on this, or everybody must just go along with this and all this stuff. I mean, me not get this. I don't get this. Because we're gonna suffer these things. We're gonna suffer for because we're still going on with this. We're gonna pay for these things in our virgin, in a long, long way. You see, we'd like to say
accountability, Banky. We don't demand transparency and consultations, and we don't demand accountability. And these things have become the norm in our society, where those who we elect play reverse psychology and make us feel like they're the bosses, and whatever they choose to do, they do it on our behalf, and we shouldn't question it, because whatever, they're God And whatever they do
Watch.
is right.
Right now, they have, I'm not sure if you see it, there's a thing going on to where consultation on the Bath Hotel from the general public sometime this month or something like that. Well, how come consultation going on for the Bath Hotel? Well, the one, but how come not going on for Hamilton Hotel within the community and to know what the
Bath
plan
Hotel
was
or the
on
Bath Stream? You
the,
talking the Bath Hotel or you talking the
the
Bath Stream?
Bath Hotel, the Bath Hotel. The picture, the Bath Hotel is a concert about renovating or whatever it is, the Bath Hotel
But
to the general
but
public.
the
And
last I checked, wasn't it the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society who is in charge of the Bath Hotel?
I
I
don't know.
think I
I'm
don't think
just
it is really
saying,
under the government purview right now. I think the last I checked, I stand to be corrected, but I think whatever project is going on should be under the leadership of the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society. I will have to do some follow up in that regards. I see Bulby Jones have a comment here says, your son Christoph Harbour or the new owners of the marina may be in control of 12 miles of seawater from the shoreline. What kind of story is that?
but that's the fan says
How
so.
could
But that's the fan says so. He said half on it.
how
The
could
man said that's
you
what they
sign
tell you.
off and
What do you
how could you
mean?
sign off
How me
giving
how?
somebody 12 miles of seawater from your shoreline?
What do you mean? What are you talking about your son? Oh, yeah. You see,
By man, no,
no,
like
no, no, because these
what
guys,
really going on with us
these
as a
guys
people?
doing these things. No, you see, these guys comfortable dealing with these things, giving away our resources, and then as one can say, oh, this company that built Four Seasons, what that name again? That built Four Seasons, Domos or something like I saw had built Four Seasons.
Gomez, I think
Domain
Gomez.
come down there and buy 1,000 acres on the peninsula, just a whole land on it, 1,000 acres. You see? So and well, they're working on building the Four Seasons. You see, whether the land is private or not, the government, when it comes to selling a large amount of land, the government have a role to play to make sure certain things are done. If not the government buy these land, this parcel of land, then who went back and say Bracha had acquired all these land and to pay $9 million. Then I paid them with
But
them pay
Banky,
$21 million when done.
you see, Banky,
The
and
man
this is
heading the
what
road.
I guess our people have to begin to really understand that a lot of these elected officials, their objective just to be able to win another election and be in there, get another job for another 5 years, because it's one of the only jobs where after you're hired, you can't be fired so easily. And then after being in that position for say
That's done.
two consecutive elections, when you come out, you get in your full pension.
No,
So
that
these
that that
guys
that is
not
the other.
necessarily.
What? Wait. No, that goes for the other parliament. Then I go for the prime minister. The prime minister, the first day, he get full pension. He only want one day, no? He get full pension.
Well,
And the
but
rest of them
so
have to do 2 term. What madness is that?
okay. So,
What madness
that's
is
how the
that?
system set. And
Then
I
they're gonna
banky.
change. They're gonna change though. They're gonna change. It will change.
That is why these guys they don't value our lands the way we value it. What they see is an opportunity to bring in some quick money, do a photo up and do some show up and say start some project when it's coming close to an election and give the image that things are happening and so on. They don't negotiate properly in a lot of cases. So as a result, because they're looking the money quick, they don't look at all of the fine prints. And then later on, they realize, well, by really read this, when they reach down to the nitty gritty, that they didn't sign this or they didn't negotiate properly, and the end result is where the masses suffer. So, because they're unable to diversify the economy, their option is to try sell out the lands and so on. And if they can make a little change on the side, whether through their legal firms and so on, and or if they can negotiate to get a little campaign fund on the side, that is wonderful for them. And that will
Negotiate
help them
way.
to win the
Negotiate
next
one.
election.
But your son, they're not gonna money. And we money them I give them. National Bank, CBI. This company coming here broke, not gonna money, you know?
Yeah,
And me and then I put the money
but
in agriculture
so
and in small
even
businesses. So what
even if
business is these?
Banky, hold on, even if it is our money that they're using to give them, when it comes to the legal side of it and all of the other things that they need to do, they're gonna get paid too. So they're gonna get paid
Out of we money
out of we
again.
money
Out of we,
too. So
well, that's the whole
exactly.
point.
But the point is though, they will make the
The
money and they will
benefiting.
get the money for the campaign and they will get the money to win the next election and then they will be there for the 5 years and you, the masses, would not know what conditions these deals were made under and you would not have the information unless somebody leak it out or something happen and then you get to hear
Okay.
what were the
If a
conditions of
company
the
come
deals and
in
so on.
for the last 20 years, not paying no social security, not a skeleton. Okay, me a skeleton for me light bill. 4 months they want cut them off. So how you could have what these companies not broke, not got nothing, not do what they say must do. They don't void the contract, don't void already. Done a whole lot, done not good. So therefore, cancel everything and take back everything. Let us as citizens buy shares in these thing and run with thing ourselves. I keep saying we can control our own resources. I ain't one
Banky,
of those who I want to speak. Yeah.
Banky, I
It's a
hear
talk, you
you.
know.
No,
Me know how they
no,
me
I
think, you know.
hear you,
And
and
the
I
mindset
have.
not gonna change, you know.
Hold on, I have a lot of confidence in you, and I have a lot of confidence in the fact that the reality is we do have people capable of doing that which you're suggesting. However,
Well, that's the whole point.
however,
Mm-hmm.
does the evidence show that? Because when it comes to projects that is started out in some cases by some of these foreign investment companies, when they're then
Right in
handed
the
over,
front.
when they're then handed over government, we see a whole different scenario when we go to the people, as they would say.
Yes,
So
son, because
different.
we don't have real leaders, yes, son. If you know you are handed a constitution when you ought to say all these things, and all them who keep reading out, I keep repeating the same thing. It shows they're not serious. That's the whole point. These guys that we've been electing for the last 30 plus years, 40 plus years, waste of time because check this out. They are being controlled by those who farm the party. So all they've been doing up over the years is putting up other people in front of the public to say, well, these are we put it forward, but then we behind here control. We pulling the string. Them is just only up there because we done out and then the one with the money. So we put up a next set to can them and whatever, but we they have it. You could see it. These things don't need no rocket science. These are just simple common sense things, you know. So I don't think hard. I just say things what it is, and that's what it is. So therefore, I want these people coming to me. They could talk, me a listen, come me now to decipher stuff and pick out what makes sense. But me like when they talk because when we ask for the code with these things every week, greetings and all this to me say this man here having Alzheimer's and the Alzheimer's. I can't the Alzheimer's. Can this not make no sense? When you keep saying I was a part of the same government and the whole cabinet agreed to give this man all these taxes and
But
all these
Banky, this is why,
laughable,
for me it
laughable.
is, well, you say it's laughable, but I am
Well, if you,
even more.
you have to laugh if you're vexed, but you have to laugh. What are you gonna do? What you can do but laugh because it's madness. Mad,
Well,
you have to say these things and
me
then a
ain't call
ball
it
to me.
madness. Me ain't call it
It's a
madness.
disease. It's a
I
disease. They got
I
in.
call it
They got disease.
I call it the height of deception and
Oh.
the art the art of being able to play the game of divide and rule and conquer, and
Mm-hmm.
as I said, the art of deceit, being able to show the people that the game is, well, we out here and when we on the campaign, we fighting and we cussing and we doing whatever. But at the end of the day, we still look out for one another.
That's the whole
Because we
point.
are doing the same.
Exactly.
We are doing the same thing. So when I
Good.
go in, I still gonna do what you been out there do, but I gonna still cuss you to make it look like you ain't do something what me not do, and the game continues. So for me now is the people and seeking to
Yes.
get the people to be able to see what we are seeing, how we are seeing it, because it's only then they would be able to act. Because if not, then a lot of these things, what we call in madness, would continue, and the game will continue. But it's not madness. We done gone 2 hours, and we really just got into a couple of topics. But the last thing I guess we would look at is on the international side, because we have not really done any international news per se. But what's your thoughts on what's going on with the threats of World War III, so to speak, as it is being mentioned? As Bob Marley said in his song Wars and Rumors of Wars, Haile Selassie spoke of it in that speech that Bob Marley would have coined in that same song War. Those popular utterances that we are now living to see. And they cost Rastafari. But, what I mean, all these years, we say Haile Selassie is like a prophet, because he prophesied these things, and we're now seeing it today. So what are your thoughts?
We gotta remember, the Caucasian is an invader. All what he does is just war, because war is business. You need somebody making bombs, somebody made in army truck, somebody what you need oil, you need gas, you need clothing, you need casket, funeral homes have to go make money. You see what I mean? Then some depending on where it's at, you have to build back the building and them and the streets and all this different stuff to accommodate those who survive, the civilians and all kind of stuff. War is business, because where Israel is and all of the land in them one, when they go over to this and our leaders who so distinguished, and so ain't ready yet, gone left here and go over to Qatar and Dubai and over in the Middle East. Not in the Middle East. What the hell? So where's Middle North and Middle South and Middle West? You're going to Africa, my people. So if you ain't gonna come and speak to me in this time, and those are not their land, invaders again. You see what I mean? So if you're not gonna come and speak to me, because you're gonna beg some desalination plant because they're in a desert and this water they got to use and choose not to drill and whatever, I'm gonna donate these things to you. And gonna move from drilling wells, go start deal with desalination plant, which is reverse osmosis, and contact cropping in my head. Benjamin, entertaining things there, me brain think different. You see? So when me
Well,
hear
you
things, me
see,
pick up and can process things.
it come down to doing something and being able to say, well, we could do something, and maybe two, what they're gonna get out of the deal. These are things that and maybe it's who partner and who associate and who might get shares in what company and all of these different things. We don't know some of what happened
Of course.
behind the scenes with these deals. But
Yes, sir. We have
you
plenty
know,
water. What we have is storage. So why can't you build storage tanks? You could even dig out the ground and build a whole cistern underground with a big like a football field, and you still and still occupy Pantap. You see what I mean? We can. So what the problem be? If we give all these millions, hundreds of millions and millions to all this outside entity, well, how we not spend with money to build storage tank to accommodate with water? How come you see one we rationing electricity? Right now you're rationing electricity and navies. But if you're doing any kind of major, any kind of work or upgrade or whatever, then you ration things in the sink, in water, this and I mean, madness. Madness when we have billions, Virgin. A billions we have, for such a small place, Not even the 50,000 people comfortable, 55. Small little village we are, 2 islands. But yet, we still have some of the worst poverty and all these things going on. And then our leaders come and Virgin, we're supposed to pay a VAT. So I don't care this nonsense that we talk about 13% VAT. We ain't supposed to pay no VAT because we ain't IMF no money. We never did it. They know these things. So what we pay VAT for? What we pay 5,000 environment levy for?
For the bad
What we pay
spending
all these
and the
things
waste
for?
of money and for the debt that they run up. I mean, what you're paying these things for? That is why you're paying these things. And at the end of the day, they don't consult with you, and then they do projects, and then you have cost overruns and all of these different things, and then you hear, you know what I mean, something start and you ain't finish, and then some kind of thing going on over there, and all of these things. So that's what happens. And as a result, they keep the people ignorant of certain facts. And so the people, you know, Banky, I was listening to a clip a couple days ago, right? And this is on the international side. This guy was interviewing this senator, the senator in the US. And the senator was trying to justify saying that he rationale for supporting Israel is that Israel is that is God's people and that's God's
Of
land
course, they're holy.
and some story like that, right? No, but here is it, Banky, and this is what I'm saying. Like the interviewer now
All
was
politics,
seeking to
brethren. All politics.
no, but he was seeking to clarify something with the brother, which is something that many of us and even those who are supposed to be quote unquote Christians still run up and down with. But the reality is, Banky, that piece of land out there has nothing to do with the biblical Israelites. And those people out there have nothing to do with the biblical
Of course,
Israelites. Biblically,
those land was
Israel was
given
a
to
man.
them.
Israel was a
Yes,
man
not
who
a place.
was called Jacob or Jacob, and who wrestled with the Almighty according to the scripture. And then he was given the name Israel. And he got 12 sons and a daughter. They don't talk about the daughter Diana, but they have given the 12, all of the sexist and male chauvinistic kind of thing going on in the Bible too. So they don't talk about Diana, the daughter, but they spoke of the 12 sons who became the 12 tribes or nations of Israel, and they became the Israelites. So the Bible speaks of Israelites. Today, we speak of Israeli and Israelians. Now, the Israeli and Israelians were originally the Russians and the Germans who left back after the war. And Britain figure out, well, they're going to take a piece of the land that really belonged to Palestine and give them to settle. And that's how they got over there. So that land has nothing, absolutely nothing. The land and the people has nothing to do with the biblical Israelites. The only connection to Israel that's really over there is they call them the Falasha Jews, which were the Ethiopian Jews who left Ethiopia and migrated over to that piece of land that they call Israel over there. And so there's a group of Israelites from Ethiopia that live in that section. So if you go to Israel, they don't really carry you in that zone. But so it shows Banky the kind of ignorance that is even at the top. So you find
Is it not?
these
People don't question things,
educated
Jason.
people who
They don't
still
want to question nothing.
perpetuate this kind of ignorance and have the world going with it. So you have a lot of people looking at Israel right now saying, oh, Israel is God land, and oh, they not because you know God is going to protect Israel, and the people need to wake up. Our people need to wake up, and all of this was part of the brainwashing too, because they use religion and the Western religions as a part of the indoctrination of our people. Banky, these things, discussions,
Yes.
and these are discussions that we don't necessarily have in our local discourse, and we do need to engage some of these topics, you know, more often. It's always interesting when we have, you know, the topics, you know, because there's a lot of topics that we could really discuss, but we have already exceeded the 2 hours
Yes.
and more. And so we're definitely gonna have to leave a lot of what's left for next week. What I want to do, what I want to do next week, I'm gonna make sure that we advertise it early, Banky. Next week we are gonna be interviewing a Ibu chief out of Africa. He is a chief of his own organization and community and so on. So we're gonna delve into a little bit of our African heritage and history and learn a little bit of the Ibu community. It is said that most of the folks who came to these parts, if let's say, let's just, I'm just using a number for explanation sake. If 1 million persons came over, over 500,000 would have been from the Ibu tribe. So the likeliness of you being a descendant of the Ibu community, if you're in the Caribbean, is pretty high. So we would learn a little bit more about their culture, their way of life, and things that they do and so on. And yeah, we're going to be bridging that gap between Africa and the Caribbean. So some might be able to resonate with the information, some might not. So, we will learn, and we're going to give that forum for you to ask questions and so on and get
Nice.
connected. So, Banky, that's the plan
Nice.
for next week, and I'm really looking forward to it because I really want to learn a lot myself as well too. So, people, until next week, Tuesday, when we're back with you with another edition of the Topics. And then on Friday, we will be back with another edition of Everything Agriculture here on this Real Entertainment Network. We want to say good night to everyone and thank you for being a part. Those who would have made the comments, Bobby Jones, the last comment, he said they will control the commerce. Okay, and we do want to encourage you to remember to subscribe to our YouTube platform. Like and share and subscribe to the YouTube platform. We're going to be more active in that space. I want to say a very special good night to the Real Entertainment Network team. You guys go above and beyond to really make this what it is. A lot of people really don't know a lot of what goes on behind the scenes, but we got to tip our hats to the team. Very, very dedicated team, very reliable team. And I really want to tip my hats to all who are involved in making Real Entertainment Network what it is. So, people, and we can't do it without you, the listeners, either. So, those of you who make it your business to tune in every Tuesday and every Friday, we definitely wanna give you your credits while you're around. So keep up the great works, and keep supporting us here on Real Entertainment Network. Seeking to get my team. Yeah, I ain't get Alan. Let me see if I can.
Okay, well, you start out that. Let me just punch in a little thing on Indian Castle. I mean,
Yeah, do
maybe
that.
Friday
Yes.
I might show one or two videos in a sense of that. But in the meanwhile, I decided to take a pass down there yesterday afternoon after I leave the farm. And I must say, and let me say this to the Premier, he's going to have to replace the Minister of Agriculture with somebody else with a different portfolio because at this time, the failure of the minister, he can't come back. And also, you cannot be paying a minister who have mashed up and a lot handpicked his chief extension officer who is disrespectful within a month time. And right now, the state of Indian Castle, I say they just need to close it down, lease out that area to an individual and go from there because the stage of Indian Castle right now, all the avocado trees have died, all the shaddock trees practically died. It's just one or two cigar and some green leaves. All the sugar apple I had planted in an area, over 300-400 of them died. You see what I mean? Plum going out under serious stress, along with mangoes under stress. Some I call it the sour orange, same thing. Coconut, don't even talk about that. Lack of nutrients, lack of water, fruit and them just dried up. It's really a shame. So therefore, and then the second phase, that's what I keep saying, he's not gonna do. The minister who know he had dropped the ball, handpick his best friend, put him there to willfully, and I don't swear Alexis Jeffers because they're on the same side. Where a project like this, taxpayers' money, is not the place can grow beautiful food, Bridget. It has been proven. Thousands of pounds of melon, sorrel, everything there you can think about have gone down there that nobody's can say have gone. And now, something that the whole region that is envied, it take the minister who work in agriculture for about 40 years to mash it up. You know, see the man who love agriculture? He cannot have somebody that running. This doesn't make no sense. He come like all these people like just mash up things. How can you mash up something that is going to your hand over?
Well, Banky,
Yeah,
we definitely will take
Friday.
up this conversation on Friday with another edition of
Definitely.
Everything Agriculture. But give thanks, people. Enough love, everybody. Real Entertainment Network. Really give thanks for the opportunity. Enough love, everybody. Remember to log into our YouTube platform. Enough love, everybody. Guidance. See you all next week, Tuesday or Friday, when we come back with another edition of Everything.
Me love how you coast on it. Sexy girl bite her lips. She a close her eyelids. She a hold her on the grid. Me love how you coast on it. Every girl just strike a pose.